This week on This Too Shall Pass.
I had so much fun in Atlanta. I sat with the girls on cocktails. I was actually very nervous. I didn't know if Carla was taking me somewhere to do a podcast or to kill me. It was in a warehouse. I was a little nervous. We knocked on a silent door. It was quiet. The sweetest women I have met in a long time. Very welcoming, warm, inviting. I figured out cocktails is not just a drink, but it's like a pun on words. Cocktails, like a drink, or tales about DICK. Genius.
Welcome to the This Too Shall Pass podcast. Trust me, I know life can be. This is an inclusive space for our stories and lessons to be heard and learned from without judgment, because this too shall pass.
Hi, babes. Welcome back to This Too Shall Pass. My name is Ariel. I am your host. The topic for today is, I don't even know the generalized term for it, but it's a lot of guilt. I wouldn't say it's mom guilt. I still have that, but it's more so like trauma guilt or survival guilt. But before we jump into that, I do want to start off with her voice, her story. This person, I'm pretty sure, does not have social media. I'm just going to literally pour my heart and say thank you to the woman that works at my kids' rec center that took a huge, I don't know if it was a gamble or a risk, but they gave my kids the opportunity to work this summer. I thought because Andre is only 16, that he would work part-time for minimum wage. No, Andre is on the clock 9 to 5:30. I'm not kidding. Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week. And then Haley is a counselor in training. So to the woman that is taking her time in the Orlando City Recs community, that is teaching these teens, mentoring them, putting them in good groups, allowing them the opportunity to earn real money, direct deposit, pay them. Haley is not being paid. If you are under the age of 16, you get credit towards high school, which is still needed for graduation. So she is still benefiting, just not in a monetary value, but she thinks she should be getting paid, if we all want to put that out there. But as a 13-year-old, she really wants for nothing because I am her ATM. I'm sure she would have liked to spend freely at Sephora, but she has 2 more years. But Andre is working 40 hours a week full time. I mean, training, the mentor meetings, work meetings. He's accountable for children. The amount of responsibility they place on teens, I was actually a little worried about. I was worried about my child being responsible for other people's children and their livelihood and how they make it home at 5:30. That concerned me. I've picked up Terrell and Owen from under Andre's care, and they were not how I left them. Let's just put it that way. I mean, clothes on backwards, drawers not on Owen, socks on different feet. They do live. But I know that people want to pick up their kids how they drop them off. So I was worried about that. But the growth in responsibility and matureness and accountability, no, I didn't try to plan a summer vacation and Andre talking about something. I'm on someone's clock. I have to give notice to my job before we go here. And in my head, I'm like, you little asshole. But he's right. He has to be respectful, follow the rules and protocol. So I'm not going to shout out her name because she is a government employee, but I know she knows exactly who she is. And I do know she watches these. So I love you and I appreciate all that you do for all of the teens that are in the Orlando City Recs. I've seen great improvement in responsibility skills and teamwork skills in my children alone. So I know other people see it in their kids as well. So I want to shout out that program, Orlando City Recs, for giving local teens here in my hometown of Orlando, Florida, the opportunity to work and earn credit for high school or earn real cash in their pockets. Andre will get his second check this Friday. So thank you. If you know anyone who you think would do well in her voice, her story here on This Too Shall Pass, if you can leave her in the comments. I would love to do some research on anyone that you feel is influential to you, anyone that you feel is making good moves or marks in your community. Doesn't always have to be women. I know it is her voice, her story. I'm a little biased. I love me some strong women. I feel like it is important for us to stick together, but I also do, at the same hand and token, know that there are a lot of good men out there doing good work, whether that's, boys and girls clubs, like the mentor group that helps Andre out is full of Black men that just help young boys from programs that there's not a dad in the home. So if there is anyone that you feel should get shouted out or needs a little bit more recognition, or someone you feel like has helped you through a dark time, her voice, her story is the perfect platform for that here on This Too Shall Pass. And I would love to review, see, and engage with who is mentoring you out there in the world. So let's hop into today's topic. Again, what I said is like survival guilt. Let me paint a story for you. I am a 33-year-old Black woman, single mother of 5. I have made it out of a terrible marriage that ended in domestic violence. We are both still living. And I have to say that and put a lot of emphasis on that because I am grateful for just that. If God stopped blessing me there and just let us live after that divorce, I'm grateful for that, because when I was going through DV therapy, which is domestic violence therapy, sitting with a bunch of women that I thought were going through domestic violence, some people in the room were mothers of their daughter that they had lost to domestic violence, or a sister who had buried her sister to domestic violence. So I don't overlook the gratitude, blessings, and importance that God put on me just to help me out. But sometimes I look at it like, I'm a single mother of 5, and I currently, right now, I'm not on anyone's 9 to 5. I completely and 100% solely support myself on social media, whether that is TikTok or Instagram or Snapchat or Facebook or YouTube or Reels or anything that you can find on your phone that I can put myself out there in a positive light is now large enough of a platform to bring in income that will cover my bills that I write out on my paper for my budget. And sometimes I feel guilty for that. I feel guilty that, not saying that I'm not relatable or I've like casted myself out, but sometimes I feel guilty when I see other moms that are single moms of 1 or 2 or 3, and they're struggling. And sometimes, I'm trying not to make this sound bad, they're struggling or they're venting on me. And sometimes hearing somebody else vent or go over, oh, he's not picking up the kid, or, oh, my daughter did this, or, oh, my mom put us out, or I'm waiting in line for Toys for Tots. I remember so deeply what that felt like, to the point that sometimes me reliving somebody else's trauma or hearing them out pulls at me in a negative way, to the point that I'm sad now, or I overlook maybe some blessings that I've been given. And I don't like that sometimes I don't see my blessings or exactly how far I have come until I hear somebody else's story. I want to live in a constant state of gratitude and appreciation for where I am. And sometimes that's hard, I think, because we all get caught up in the day-to-day. We're all just moving and raising and doing the best that we can. But I'm having a really hard time feeling guilty. Like, why me, God? Why am I the ease? I want to say this and say that I am still very proud of myself. I know where we came from, and I know how close we are to actually going back there. This time last year, was actually terrified to quit my job. And I didn't even quit my job. I got let go. It's like God said, you don't need this, or I'm going to provide something else. But putting all my trust in him and working as hard as I did for myself was very risky, because it is just me, and it's been just me for a long time. I went back through baby photos and albums of Andre and Haley. It's been just me and my kids for as long as I can remember. I was married, but I feel like it was such a short, traumatic, blocked out era in my head that I just try my best to forget. So I have someone who is very close to me, and I do have a lot of friends that are very close to me that go through some traumatic things, and I'm trying to be positive and not removed. Like, I never want to be that mom that's like, oh, that season is over for me, so I don't know what you're talking about. Like, the most hurtful thing for me, being a young mother, when I vented and told my story to older women, was, oh, my kids are grown. Oh, I never went through that with mine. Or, oh, that doesn't apply to me. I still want to be someone that the trauma and the issues apply to. Hear me out, because I do feel like that is my purpose. That is my testimony. Me making it out is to encourage other women that there's light on the other side. I just want to hear their stories and not feel guilty. Sometimes I feel like, why me, God? Am I supposed to be doing more? Should I be reaching more people? How is this gonna change? Or am I just one of hundreds of millions of women for years and years and years that are just gonna get beaten, left, raise your kids alone, and figure it out? Because that also sounds fucking terrible. That's just how I feel. Like, I had one person, like I was saying a little bit ago, very close to me, say, I'm going through something hard, but I don't feel like God's gonna bless me how he blessed you. I don't feel like God's going to bless me how he blessed you. And that, like, it sat on my chest hard for a long time. I felt guilty. I felt worried. I felt like, how do I pour God or pour the gospel on this woman and let them know that, hey, the same God that helped me is the same God that'll help you. The same God that has done all these miraculous things for everyone else is the same God that will help you. But how do I say that in a way that would uplift her, would still motivate her, and not bring me shame or guilt in the process? And to all you women out there who think when younger women vent to you that it's not your problem or you're so healed. Oh, I'm healed, girl. I got a divorce. I'm good. I moved on. I hopped to the next dick. I had some more kids. I moved on. Are you really? Are you healed or have you blocked it out? I am so aware of my trauma, and I try to be so aware of how far we've come and who I speak to that I'm very intentional with my words. I want to be more hands-on and on the ground with more women as much as I can and as possible as I can. I just want to do that in a way that doesn't, when I leave at the end of the day, I'm not heavy and I'm not sad and I'm not regretful. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's kind of like a little bit of survivor's guilt. I went last month to a domestic violence like group session. I was reached out by a company that I'd worked with before that helped me through my divorce when I reached out to them because I had no money. We had nowhere to live. We had nothing. And for that same woman to see me from, what year was that? Erin was 1. So she's 9 now. Do the math. Help me out. It's Tuesday. I'm barely making it through the summer. But Erin was 1. She's 9 now. So that's like 8.5 years of growth since I've really been in there at the bottom, at my lowest, on who I probably felt like, just like the woman that told me, I don't feel like God will bless me like that. I remember hearing other people's stories and I was happy they made it out. But a part of me was angry then too. Like, oh, he ain't. He allowed me to live and that's going to be it. That's where it's going to stop for me. The amazement on her face when she saw me pull up in my car and my bag and how I was dressed and how I spoke and how I was in attendance. When she told me, you look lighter, like you look, and it wasn't the weight, baby, because I weigh more now than I did then. Because, baby, there is no diet like heartbreak. My face was snatched. At my saddest, my jeans fit the best. I'm going to just say it how it is. Because these size 12s I'm in now are ridiculous. When I used to be in a 5 with 4 kids, I looked good, but my insides were trash. I was so sad. I didn't want to live. I didn't see the purpose in myself. I've always loved my kids. And I say that so that you guys don't think like, oh my God, Ariel's going to drive off a bridge or drown her kids in the bathtub. That's not what I'm saying. I didn't want to be here. I thought that my kids would be better off with someone else, whether that was my mother or a friend or, someone that adopted them. I always felt like somebody else could have done it better because I didn't have the tools, the ability, or the equipment to do this motherhood journey. This is long. This is hard. This is time consuming. So for me to just walk into a room and someone look at me 8 years later and say, wow, I can see it. I was like, see what? Like what are we talking about? She's like, I can see it. You look lighter, like less guilt, less shame, less blame on myself, less like maybe more worthy, more significant, more gratitude, grace, blessings. I just feel like I want to still be relatable and there and close and connected to women who are in a place that I remember so vividly. So yeah, it just really laid hard on my heart when that person told me that God's not going to do it for me. I'm so happy for you. I clap for you. I know God's going to do all these things, but not for me. He doesn't see me. He doesn't hear my prayers. If you guys can let me know in the comments, how do I love someone better that's hurting? How do I uplift someone who feels forgotten or someone whose prayers maybe feel overlooked? And how do I carry, thank you, Carla's the best. How do I carry the conversation and the uplifting without carrying the guilt and the shame? Because I feel like you only carry it if you can relate to it, and you only carry it if it's still close. And I'm okay with remembering where I come from. I think that's very uplifting. I never want to be blinded and just forget where we were, because I feel like as quickly God can give it, God can take it away. And while I have it right now, even if it's monetary for a little bit of time, I want to have some sort of impact. So that's actually a goal I've always had. I want to mentor women. I want to make a group, an outreach group. I just want to have a lot of resources because I feel like the world is drastically changing, but it doesn't have to be in a bad way. I feel like mental health is the best it's ever been resource-wise. I feel like speaking to someone, making small groups, relatability, conversations as a whole are needed. So yeah, I would love to reach out and connect with you guys more personally and in person. And I just want to throw that little nugget out there and let you know it's definitely on the front burner of some things I'm trying to do. But yeah, if you guys can let me know in the comments, is there anything you've been through that's outside of mom guilt? Because kids lay it on you thick. We were waking up someday this week. Well, no, this is only Tuesday, so it had to be last week. I was rushing, and I'm rushing for kids to go on their field trip. I'm not going nowhere. I'm going back home, probably to mop and clean up after y'all. And we're rushing. Like, we're late. We're late for kids that all in their room have phones that are more than $1,000. Why did Siri not wake you up? Why did Alexa not do her job? Why are we not up? And why are all y'all looking at me to hurry and rush and get y'all where I need to go? I already drive y'all, and I pick y'all up, and I paid for the field trip. But now y'all also can't wake up? So mom guilt is a completely different topic in itself, but I go through that on a daily. I say that to say motherhood is like, I don't even want to say an onion. I need to find something else that has like layers. It's not always getting worse. It gets easier, but I feel like the pain point of it sometimes moves to something else. I feel like in the beginning, you're maybe struggling with, that baby is so small. Oh my God, how do I touch it? I am bleeding and milking and crying and lacking sleep all at the same time. Then that pain point goes away and maybe it moves to potty training. Then that pain point moves away. Now it's time to start school. And it's like, damn, my 5-year-old can't read. I got to work on this. Like, the pain point in motherhood just moves. I don't think it ever disappears. And I don't think it goes away completely, but it definitely shifts. And I know for me as a survivor, my guilt has shifted from me feeling lost, small, worthless, not needed, to being triggered by other people's stories. I don't know if that means that I need to pour into that more, or what do I need to do to still, because I never want to be unrelatable, and I still want to pour into women and help and be a resource. But I would be lying to say it wasn't triggering. I would be lying to say it doesn't lay heavy on my heart. And when that woman told me, I'm so happy for you, I'm so proud of you, I can see how far you've come, but I don't think God's going to do it for me. I think he's tired of hearing me. I may stop praying because I feel like I'm annoying him. That's how it came off to me. Like, she felt like she was annoying God by praying. And I just want a better way to relay that the same God that did it to me will do it for you. And I see you, and I love you, and you're heard. And I do think community is needed. And never feel ashamed of talking about the things that bring you doubt or guilt or slow you down, because I think it's needed to be talked about. We can't just always talk about the happy side of being a woman or being a mom, because I think there's equally as many dark sides as there is happy sides. It's not 50-50. It damn sure isn't 70-30. I just think that it goes hand in hand. Where there's happy, there will be sadness, and sometimes the sadness just shifts. And I think the happiness shifts as well, because I can't tell you the last time I ever clapped for my 16-year-old for walking. I don't do that. You should be able to do that on your own. But I do clap for him for getting paid. I clap for him for making through another paycheck. I clap for him for not fighting and using his words when he felt like his manlyhood was being tested and he could have, fought and risked it all, and he didn't. So the clapping shifts and the sadness shifts. There is a little video on TikTok that I want to play for you guys. And I don't want it to just be my thoughts and my opinions and how I feel. Let me know in the comments how you feel about this, if you heard it, if you've gone across it. And also, you guys can always send me little snippets on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok that relates to motherhood or womanhood in a whole that you think would be a good topic, something that you related to or triggered you or however. But let's listen to this. This is from It looks like her username is Kayla Jasmine with a Z. And I'm just going to play the beginning part of what she said.
Mothers are deprived of a certain type of mothering experience. And as a single mom, this is something that I think about every single day because I have so many fears wrapped around this concept. I've been on my own with my daughter for the last 5 years, and it took that entire 5 years for me to figure out that I could actually keep the ship above water on my own if I give up my softness. Being able to rest in your feminine as a mother is a privilege. The amount of problem solving, logic, reason, responsibility that I have on a daily basis doesn't allow me a privilege of sitting in my softness. It doesn't allow me the privilege of being in my feminine energy as a mom. I have to lean into my masculinity more. I've learned how to not be hypermasculine, but I've had to lean into my masculinity more in order to keep my ship going. And then I start thinking about the possibility of one day getting a husband and having more children and what my daughter is going to feel when she watches me raise other kids in my softness, because I'm going to have a partner that I get to lean on, so I don't have to live in my masculinity and I don't have to be hard on them in the same ways or lean on them in the same ways that I've had to lean on her, because it's just us two. And one of my...
Okay, I'm going to pause her there. I think this was beautifully said. She's a cute girl. She's venting in her car. I do that often. My car is my safe place. There are no children in there once I get them out. I'll be like, oh, go in the house. And I just sit in there. Oh, I haven't vaped in 6 months. Because I was going to say, I used to just sit in my car and vape. I don't even do that. I literally sit in there and I can like detox my whole body just sitting in silence for a moment. Don't have a lot of time, but even a little bit of time is needed. But I feel her. I understand her. And I empathize with her so much. She was mainly saying that she can't rest in her softness because, as the Bible tells us, it takes man and woman to make a child. And when said man leaves, said woman has to be two people. And if I have to pick up the role that should be shared, then I do sometimes have to lay down parts of me, whether that's my goals, maybe going out, maybe who I want to be, my ambitions, to pick up and also be the person that left. I think she's saying that she has to be both feminine and masculine to get the job done. And I can 100% relate to that. Something that I know has been giving me kind of that pull feeling about life going on and certain kids feeling a certain way about the type of mother you were then versus the mother you are now. It's like, I am still in the house buying era, still looking to put my kids in a home. And I'm like, oh my God, what if I need like 2 more years to make this work? You know, some people will listen to me and be like, oh my God, Ariel, that's not bad. It's just you, 5 kids, 2 more years to buy a home, at least putting 75% down. You got that. I wish I can do that. Blah, blah, blah. And you guys hear the positivity in it. But for me, I'm like, I have to do that now. Because in 2 years, my baby that I've been struggling with for 16 years will be 18, and I never gave him that. How dare I only be able to provide a home for the last kids? And everyone gets to touch it, feel it, live in it, be in that soft mom era, but Andre didn't. Like, that makes me feel so much guilt, to the point that I remember telling one of my girlfriends, I would rather stay in an apartment till all my kids grow up than getting a home that Andre never got to experience. Than laying in a bed in a big home in a HOA neighborhood with a manicured lawn, that the child that actually made me a mom, the biggest part of me that I love, that I've learned to appreciate, never got to see, never got to feel. And that's hard for me not to carry that guilt. And that's something related to that I felt with that pull. I do also feel it about if I bring a new man into my life and how that will shift the dynamics of our home. So like I said, the pain and the joy just shifts. And if you can let me know in the comment if you kind of can relate to what I'm saying, if you felt that pull in motherhood, like, are there any kids in your home that, you know, had you as a single mom and like the other kids have you as a wife? Because that's 2 completely different mentalities. There's one that's like just survival mode, fight or flight. And there's one that actually has ease, maybe a partner, help. These kids aren't, you know, so hyper independent. Like, there were some times that it was just me, Dre, and Andre. Like, I need you to help me. It's just us 3. Now I feel like I can spread it out and I'm more mindful of it. Or even if your kids don't have you as like a single mom in one life and then, you know, a married mom in the later half of their childhood, even the fact of being a teen mom versus an adult mom, like over 25, is 2 completely different moms. It is. I had Andre and Haley on the beginning of this season of This Too Shall Pass when it started, talking about how I used to whoop them and chanclas and yelling and screaming. I was a kid. And that's how I processed anger and stress. And it was not the best way. I'm happy that I changed quickly, at least by they were like 8 or 9, and I stopped. But TJ and Aaron and Owen don't get the belt. But I had to learn that. I had to go to therapy. I had to figure out the trauma that I was doing, the things I was passing on unknowingly. I was just I want everyone to shut up, be quiet. Do what I ask you. But it's like kids aren't meant to make your life easier as a mother. A child is going to be a child in every scenario, and it's our job to remain the parent. But you couldn't tell me that as a 19-year-old. I barely knew up from down, and I just wanted to go to Wing Shack and eat and get a Sonic drink on the way home. Ignorance is bliss when you're younger, and I feel like I've grown a lot as a woman, and I just have to be mindful of that. I catch myself apologizing to Andre and Haley, or we talk about it and joke about it sometimes, but it does bring me a lot of guilt. But that's where I am. And I hope you can let me know in the comments where you are. Again, if you would like to help us with this podcast, This Too Shall Pass, I would love a comment, a share, a download to get us out there more to the community, reach more women. And I am also looking to have some guests on my podcast that are not family related. I love my people down. But I need to speak to other women. I need to have other people on this lovely couch with me. So if you know anyone in Orlando, Florida that would love to sit down with me and have some conversations, whether that is in person or even online digitally, like we can just do camera to camera, Zoom to Zoom instead of face to face. Ooh, look at that, rhyming, dropping all these bars. Watch out, Kendrick Lamar coming for your spot. Yeah. You know, actually, I don't want to piss him off because his shit has been on repeat all summer. It was dangerous. But yeah. Oh, one more thing.
I understand it, but it's above me now.
My it's above me right now is planning too far ahead in the future. I think we have to be okay with change, and we have to know that the best way to make God laugh or, you know, get a giggle out of the man upstairs is tell him your plans, baby girl. He loves us and we are loved by him, but planning out my life 10 years in advance when I don't even know where I'm gonna be in 6 months is a little delusional, playing in the town of delusion, but that's okay. I've learned to just let it go. I'm going to plan and do as much as I can and always work hard. And I'm happy I'm in the place that I know with good works and good measure, God will fill in the rest. And that is the place I've been living in lately. And that's why I'm trying to give that to other women. I just want to know a more positive way to do that. So planning too far ahead is something I've stopped doing. 5-year plan is the max. That's as far as I will go. And every day I am a good person. I put out good measure and I could put out good help. And I am available, honest, and open at all times. And I receive God's blessings. And sometimes we turn back. We do new things. We go in different directions. But I always do know that I am steadfast and covered. And I want to give that to you guys too. So give it up planning 10 years too far ahead. Give it up planning a marriage with no boyfriend. Give it up doing things that are just work it day by day, month by month, year by year, and just know with good works and good ethics and doing your best every day, a little bit at a time, that's what it means to show up and to plan. I'm not saying don't have your rent money. That's not too far ahead. I'm talking about 10 years out, okay? Because I love you. I'm reading from the Apple Podcast reviews. Please leave me your comments down in the comments below, either on Apple Podcast or YouTube. This one is from Apple Podcast, and maybe your comment can be the one I read on the next episode. This is from Dominique_Diane 7980. She said, new listener, 2 exclamation points. I'm over here listening to my girls on cocktails and recognize your voice from TikTok. Is my voice that noticeable? Maybe it's just because it's loud, because there's a lot of good voices on TikTok. But she said, I noticed your voice from TikTok. Absolutely love how you parent your tribe. Now I know you have a podcast as well. I'll be a regular over there too. Thank you so much, Dominique_Diane 7980. I had so much fun in Atlanta. I sat with the girls on cocktails. I was actually very nervous. I didn't know if Carla was taking me somewhere to do a podcast or to kill me. It was in a warehouse. I was a little nervous. We knocked on a silent door. It was quiet. The sweetest women I have met in a long time. Very welcoming, warm, inviting. They are gorgeous. I got to lose some weight. They are gorgeous. They had good conversation. I figured out cocktails is tales about cocks, not just the drink, but it's like a pun on words. Cocktails, like a drink, or tales about DICK. Genius. I just had to break that down to you because I didn't know if I was the only one that was realizing that late. I told Carla and I busted out laughing and she looked at me like, wow, I love you, Ariel, but you're a little slow. It caught me off guard. I was so proud. Like, I literally had an epiphany while they were talking because they had drinks and they went through their conversation. They told another date night story or something like about a dating relationship. I was like, oh my God, cocktails. It's genius. Top one, AA1, 10 out of 10. But I thank you so much, Dominique_Diane. I thank you so much to the women on Cocktails. And I thank you, listeners, so much for hanging in there with us for another week of This Too Shall Pass. My name is Ariel, and I will see you next time. Bye.